Hello and welcome to Design to Win. This podcast is where we talk about helping students discover how they learn, build confidence for themselves, and develop the tools they need to succeed in school and in life. Hello, everyone. I am Dara and I'm the host. For many years, I have worked with students and families who are navigating learning differences like ADHD, dyslexia, autism, and even executive function challenges. I have also walked this on the side of a parent personally. I've had several children of my own that have struggled in school with learning differences, some of the ones that I've described. Through those experiences that I've had, both as a teacher and as a parent, I've learned something very important. Many students who are struggling in school are not lacking intelligence or ability like a lot of people want to make you think. Often they simply just haven't been given the tools or understanding and support that they need to succeed in the way that their brain processes and learns. That is what this podcast is all about. Helping students, parents, and teachers, educators to be able to understand every student has strengths and every student has value and every student is truly designed to win. That's what I believe. Today we're going to talk about something many families are dealing with right now as the school year comes to an end and is winding down, and that is procrastination. Right now, many students are feeling the pressure of the end of the school year. The teachers are, the parents are, everyone is. There may be state testing coming up. Teachers are trying to finish out their curriculum for the year and prepare students for the testing. Assignments and projects may be piling up for students, and some students may be trying to catch up on work that they've been struggling to do all semester. They don't want to fail class or semester or even the school year. For many families, this is a time when things start getting very stressful. Parents start asking lots of questions like, why won't my child just sit down and do the work? Why do they keep putting everything off until the last minute? Why does it feel like they've just given up? Does this sound familiar to any of you parents right now? And sometimes the students get labeled as lazy or just unmotivated. Teachers do that, parents do that. I've seen it a lot over the years, both towards my own children and other educators towards other students. But in many cases, laziness is not exactly what's happening. What's often happening is something very different that people don't recognize. Two things tend to happen and collide with one another at this time of the year. Burnout, they're just done, and overwhelmed because they're trying to finish out the year and they have testing and they have all these things I described. The students have been working hard for months and they're burned out. Even students who appear disengaged have often been using a lot of mental energy just trying to keep up. They seem not focused and otherwise, and they're just having a hard time keeping up. Students with learning differences especially can experience something called cognitive fatigue. All of us can, but it's a lot more so for students with learning differences. That means that their brain is working harder than others just to process the information, to stay organized or maintain any kind of focus whatsoever. By the time spring arrives, many of them are simply exhausted. The teachers are. I've been on both sides of it as a parent, seeing my kids be exhausted and done, and as an educator, feeling that way myself, along with all my students. Well, when that happens, then the brain, you can see that the brain is tired. And then motivation drops because you're tired, you're fatigued. And focus becomes a lot harder this time of the year. Even small tasks sometimes can seem overwhelming. Well, and as I said, there's two things that kind of collide with each other: burnout, and the second one is overwhelm. Students may be facing, at this point, like I mentioned, a lot of extra homework. They might be facing all these missing assignments that they never got done at the beginning of the semester that they have the opportunity to still make up, unfinished projects, the upcoming state test, which a lot of students stress over, or just pressure to bring up their grades before the year ends. They put that on themselves, but as parents, we put that on our kids too. But when a student looks at everything, sometimes all at once, it can feel impossible. They have missing assignments, they have pressure to bring their grades up, all these things. Their brain starts telling them things like, I'll never catch up. It's too late anyway. Why bother? What's the point? And when the brain believes something is impossible, it often chooses the easiest path of resistance, which is, what do you think? Avoidance. We've all done that at some point in time. Just avoid it and it won't be there. It'll go away. That's where procrastination creeps in and starts. Not because a student doesn't care, but because they feel trapped and they don't know where to start. And they don't want to tell anybody they don't know where to start. It's easier to just not do it. Years ago, I worked with a student in high school who found himself in this exact situation. He had gotten behind in several of his classes, quite a number of them, as a matter of fact. He'd put things off, didn't get assignments done, had lots of missing assignments. Tests were coming up for the end of the year. The state testing was coming up, and the pressure was on. He was just overwhelmed, and he didn't know what to do. So you know what he did? He just froze. That's how his parents described it. He just froze. He just stopped trying altogether, wouldn't do anything. Because he said, why bother? I've already failed, haven't succeeded. There's no way I can catch up. And from the outside, it looked like he had given up. And he really had. But I decided we needed to sit down and just talk and look at all the stuff that he was facing. And I could see why he was feeling very overwhelmed. He just felt like there was no way he could recover from any of it. So we sat down and we talked about everything that he had to make up, get assignments done. We just laid it all out in front of us. We laid everything out. We drew out a chart that showed every assignment in every class, what he had to do, what was expected. And it was very overwhelming to look at it that way. But what I did was I had him break it down and look at one assignment at a time and take it one step at a time, one small piece at a time. We just looked at all of that, and then we looked at all of his grades and we calculated what he'd actually need to make in each class in order to pass for the year. After we did that, suddenly the situation didn't seem to feel as impossible to him anymore. He kind of felt like it might be manageable. Well, he started working on his stuff, and once he completed the first task he had to do, something interesting started happening. His confidence grew a little bit, and maybe there's a little bit of hope and a little bit of window there. Then he completed the next task and the next one, and momentum started building. And that momentum gave him the ability to just keep going. And he was able to finish out all the things that he needed to get done by doing it one step at a time. So, if your child or children are struggling right now, here are a few simple things that might be able to help you. First, I would sit down with them and look at the full picture together, just like I did with this student. Just write down everything that still needs to be completed, from assignments to projects to tests, all those things. Just lay it out on a piece of paper that looks kind of like a calendar. When everything's written down, then you look at it, it can still seem overwhelming, but not as much because it's all in one place. And then second, break everything down into smaller tasks. Instead of saying, finish this whole project tonight, which a lot of us don't want to do or can't do, we just focus on one small goal out of that or towards it. So what I would suggest is working towards something for 20 minutes and completing one little part of it or one section of it. Just taking small steps. It helps to create a little movement. And then help your child focus on progress rather than perfection. So you could keep a chart of it if you wanted to on the progress so you could see a little bit of progress at a time instead of just focusing on everything being perfect. They don't have to fix everything in one day. Each small win builds confidence, and confidence builds motivation, which is what we want. One thing I want you parents out there to remember is this. Many students who struggle with procrastination or are actually very capable, they often have incredible strengths. But when they lack structure or tools or understanding about how they themselves learn best, school can become very overwhelming. The goal is not to force students through stress and frustration. The goal is to help them develop systems and strategies that support how their brain works. When that happens, students often discover that they are far more capable than they had realized. So if today's episode has helped you and helped you think about some things and given you some action steps to take towards helping your child get through to the end of the year, then I would encourage you to follow Design to Win podcast so you don't miss out on any of the episodes coming up through the end of the school year. We're going to be talking more and more about things to finish out the school year and to transition into the summertime and what you can do over the summertime to help your child out and moving into the new school year in a new grade and maybe a new school or even college students moving in and away from home. So we're going to be talking about more of those things in upcoming episodes. But next week, we're going to talk about something that many of you parents out there may hear from teachers and schools. The idea is that a student is being lazy. Now, I have never said that personally about a student, but I have had a teacher write that on a paper for one of my children and send it home saying that he was lazy. And trust me, on the side of the parent, you don't want to ever see that. And you don't appreciate it. That's for sure. I didn't. But kids aren't typically lazy. In many cases, the real issue has nothing to do with laziness at all. So, in our next episode, we will talk about why your child isn't lazy and how understanding how their brain works can completely change the way we support them. So, please stay tuned in for next week. And I just want to thank you for joining me today. And please remember that every student has strengths and every student has value. That is something that I talk about all the time. And every student is truly designed to win. So please tune in with me next time. And thank you again for listening.